Here we go, Davis. Atta boy. What's
Going
up?
on? How you guys
What's
doing?
going on, my man? Yo, thank you for number one responding to us, and number two giving us
Yeah,
some time.
yeah, no problem. I saw you guys were the Northeast guys, so I was like, all right, I gotta make sure I give them a get response here. So yeah, I love to do it. So no problem.
Probably some like random scam account that's like, yeah, who's this random scam account? Like, what? Okay, what was the message that you sent?
I think I was just like, "What's up? Like, want to come on the show? We'd love to
Yeah,
have
you
you
just
on call."
yeah, I was like, all right, might as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing easy. I saw it and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. No big deal.
Yeah, I was at work and he was texting me. He's like, dude, like you gotta call me. And I'm like, all right, like I know something's important right now. And then he told me the news, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, like count me in, dude. Tonight we're doing it. We're gonna get him on. We're having the interview, and we're gonna go from there. So here we
Awesome. Yeah,
are, and I'm happy.
sounds good.
But I want to first start off. You're you're from Jersey. You're from South Jersey, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That's why
yeah.
I was as I saw a Flyers picture, I was like, all right, these guys are pretty cool.
Yeah. So
now
now,
you're gonna think that's not very cool in a second.
yeah, you're not gonna. But are you, because I know Jersey, it's like it's South Jersey, Central, and then North Jersey, or it's I don't think it's like East and West Jersey, but
Yeah.
you, because most of South Jersey is Philly fans, and I believe Central and North are more Jets, Giants. Are you
Mhm.
falling into the Philly fan category?
Yeah, I'm from South Jersey, so I'm like 20 minutes from Philly. And so I grew up a Phillies fan, Eagles fan, Flyers. I'm not a big hockey fan, but obviously we root for the Flyers here, and a Sixers fan. So Philly all the way. Definitely not a New York guy. More of a
He is
way.
definitely a Philly guy,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah. And this is where you're gonna hate me because I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, you
Uh,
really? All right. So I like football, but I'm not like one of those diehard asshole Eagles fans. Like I like watching football. I'm not like going crazy and everything like that. I'll root for the Eagles, but I'm not like I don't get really into it. So like that's okay. I'm not like Cowboys fan and oh he's the worst. So it doesn't matter to me.
all right, I love to hear that because
Yeah.
we know some that it's like you try. I the other day I said to someone I was like, Dak actually might be an MVP, and I thought they were actually like going to kill me.
Oh
It got
really?
real, yeah, just
Him and,
because they're all on Jalen Hurts.
yeah. I mean, Dak had a really good game the other night, but him and Brock Purdy are the two front runners, and I guess Christian McCaffrey too. But Dak's having an unreal year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So are you, I'm assuming based like, would you rather, if you're watching any Philly sport, you would rather watch the Phillies 100%, like every single game?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like I said, I do like football, but I'm not like one of those fans. I grew up a Phillies fan, but like I said, I wasn't like how Phillies fans are. They go nuts for everything, and
Yeah.
I wasn't really like. I was kind of more of laid back. I was like, it was cool that they won in '08, but like I said, I wasn't like one of those diehard ones. But I just like baseball in general. I loved obviously Mike Trout growing up. I love Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. But like I said, I wasn't like a diehard. But Phillies, I would watch more often than not, just because I like baseball the best. So
Okay. And
yeah,
it's funny too, because I forget who else. We were interviewing someone else, and I always bring up this question because I find it fascinating because everybody that we ask always has a different response. Well, now since you're in the league and you made it to the show, like how does that kind of correlate between you being a fan of a team and then also like being a player of a different team? Like, is there a differentiation with that, or you kind of accept it? Like, you'll still root for the Phillies, but like you're also playing for the Blue Jays. It's like, nah, this is my team now. How does that work for you?
yeah. I mean, we played the Phillies in August of this year, and my friends were more hyped for me than I actually was. Like they were asking me, like, "Oh, you got to get these autographs," and I'm like, "Dude, these guys are just regular guys. Like you don't need to be just fangirl over them all the time. Like they just go out there and just play baseball." And like I said, I wasn't really I love I like the Phillies, but I wasn't a diehard. But it was cool seeing them and playing against them. And like I said, all my buddies and my friends and family were more excited that I was playing them more than I was playing them. So, but it's hard to kind of differentiate like when you're like a little kid growing up, and then you get to play some of these guys. I mean, I played with Kiermaier, Brandon Belt, Whit Merrifield. All those guys were I looked up to when I was in high school, middle school. So playing with them on the same field was pretty cool. And they made me feel like I was like one of the guys as soon as I got there, which was the coolest thing about it. They weren't really big leaguing me or made me feel like a rookie. They kind of accepted me as soon as I got there. So that made me feel a little bit more comfortable when I got there. So it made it a lot easier to go out there and just play.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring up a lot of those names too, like guys like Witt and Brandon Belt. Like those are more of like veteran guys. They've actually been around the league, like they've been to multiple teams. I actually
Yeah.
was looking up because I know because you're kind of like a Swiss Army knife, but you're more so a second baseman. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I play a little bit of left field. They started
Left.
throwing me out in
Yeah.
more often AAA, but I got drafted as a third baseman,
Okay.
and my size, I'm only 5'9", so they moved me over to second base a couple years ago, and that kind of stuck. So I like that. I like playing second a little bit more just because I'm more comfortable at being an infielder. But
Yeah.
I mean, left is probably the second best position I play, just because I know as more and more reps I get out there, the more comfortable I am. But majority of my reps are at second. I'm more comfortable there.
Mhm. Now I know the other two infielders, well, more so second baseman. So you got Kevin Biggio, he's older now. I think he's around 28, and then Santiago. I know with Matt Chapman, I don't know if he's staying with the Blue Jays or not, but that's a guy, especially defensively, like Gold Glove. I mean, he's just obviously went to school with Arenado, and you've just seen his excellence on the defensive side of third base. Like, how do you learn? Like, are you picking up little things from him, Kevin, when it comes to the defensive side of the game? Like, take me through like what they do and what you've taken away from them.
Yeah, I mean, Chap, has been, arguably the best third baseman in the past 5 or 6 years. And, it's cool to play next to him and play with him. And I pick his brain a little bit, but, I just kind of look at what he does during practice and during DP, that type of stuff. And he's always trying to get better. Like he knows that, he's not perfect. Like he makes mistakes like everyone else. Obviously, he doesn't really make a lot of them and he makes the best plays out of all of them. But he he goes to work every single day. That's the main thing. He puts in the work, and obviously he's definitely way more talented than a lot of guys on the defensive side, but he definitely puts in the work to get to that spot. And nothing in particular that he does differently. He just makes sure he's always ready. I feel like the preparation side, he's always ready, whether that comes to a second before the pitches or, an hour before the game. He's always locked in when it comes to, just being ready for the game. Yeah.
And that's so I want to get into that type of process. And I'll warn you here, I'm more of the dumb one when it comes to this. Baseball, he's more of the baseball guy, I'm more of the other sports. But I want to ask you this because you talk about being ready and like always on time, knowing what you're going to do. And we go to the gym every now and then. What does a gym workout look like for an MLB player? Because you guys are all huge and you look like massive. And then I go to the gym and it's like, I come out and I look the same. So I just want to know like what you guys do to look like that and get ready.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest guy. Like I said, I'm 5'9", so there's definitely a lot of bigger guys out there in the league compared to me. But I always thought to myself I wasn't going to be tall, so I'd rather be as strong as I could possibly be. And that was from when I was in high school. Had that mentality. And back in high school, I used to do like just standard dummy lifts like bench press, and I still do all those lifts. Don't get me wrong, but now it's more about the movement side. Like make sure your hips are aligned, hips are in the right place, make sure they can move at a faster rate and all that stuff. Being flexible, because the more you get older, the less flexible you're going to be. So you got to make sure you're moving in the right spot, and obviously work on the strength pieces too, for sure. But I think the flexibility side, especially when it comes to me, is the most important thing because I can always be flexible, more flexible, I should say, and I just got to make sure I'm in the right spot when it comes to my upper body and lower body.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that you say the flexibility part, making sure you're all aligned, symmetrical. Because I was watching a golf clip the other day, and they're talking about how they're lifting now and how it's different. I think it was Jordan Spieth talking about it. He started lifting when he was maybe in middle school, just for golf. And
Yeah.
he said that everything was about getting his hips aligned, making sure he's symmetrical. And it's just interesting because I feel like baseball and golf, the way you just talked about it, very similar in you're not just trying to look like a football player and be
Yeah.
jacked. And it's more about your flexibility. How can I play? Can I get to that ball? And it's just interesting to hear you say that because I don't think anyone that goes into the gym wanting to look like you guys actually does that.
No, yeah, it's because most golfers are either small or just really skinny, but
Yeah.
they can ball 300 yards. And then when you put a baseball player on the golf course, they're slicing it and everything like that. And it kind of goes hand in hand. Like golfers are so fundamentally sound within their swing that they're able to hit it so far. And baseball players are the same way. You can't just throw a golfer into a batting cage and have that same effect when it comes to a swing. They're not going to swing as fast. But you put a baseball player in a golf course, they're not going to swing as fast as the golfer just because they're just so fundamentally sound when it comes to that specific movement, and they just mastered their craft when it comes to each one. But it's just weird how similar movements can be totally different in the same way, you know?
Now, are there like any, because I feel like back in the day, especially for pitchers, there were some workouts that they would not advise you to do. As a second baseman, are there any in particular that they're like, you know what, don't do any of those workouts? I feel like a lot of them are shoulder based, but you probably know more than me. Are there any that you can think off the top of your head?
Yeah, they say not the barbell bench press, but I do that anyway, just because like I like the way I like to get my chest going. I don't know why, but they say not to do that because it definitely messes with your rotator cuff and it definitely causes more injury than not. But I've been doing it for about 10 years, so I know when to limit myself and when not to. But they say not to do that when it comes to pitching because pitchers don't really need to do that. It's going to hurt their scap. It's going to hurt just their shoulders in general, and you're going to be a little bit more sore than usual. But I like to feel a little bit sore the next day when it comes to even in during the season. So I definitely do bench press, but I advise not to when it comes to baseball players. But it is what it is.
Yeah. So you said that you started really getting after it to make sure you were prepared and ready in high school. And I'm not mistaken when I say this, but you were drafted out of high school, correct?
Yeah, I was drafted 2017 and the 28th. They don't even have 28 rounds anymore. I was in the 28th round. So I didn't sign for that much money, but I didn't want to go to college. That college wasn't for me. And I figured, I could always go back to college even if it didn't work out. And I might have not got drafted out of college when I was a junior or senior. So I just try to run with it.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with your decision at this point. I think it worked out.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, looking at it now, it's definitely paid off. But there was a couple times, a couple years ago, where I was like, "Damn, I might not make it, or this could be my last year." But obviously now it's definitely paid off.
yeah, and that what you just said is what I wanted to get into. Like when you came out of high school, was there ever a moment where you were like, man, I might not be ready for this? Because you went straight into advanced rookie league, right?
Yeah, I mean, rookie ball was down the
Rookie
GCL.
ball, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, when I got there, I realized, I am definitely talented enough to compete with these guys.
Mhm.
And obviously, there was some rough patches here and there throughout the years. Like in 2017, I did all right. Like I was probably one of the best hitters on my team at the time. Then 2018, I struggled a little bit, but I always thought to myself, I'm just having like a bad slump. Like this is not me. Then in 2019, at the end of 2019, I really turned it around. Then COVID happened in 2020, and it kind of messed up everyone. It pushed everyone back a year, and then all the teams were backed up, and it was just a hard headache to handle. So there was a lot of guys on one team, and then my playing time went down. I did relatively well. I held my own, and then in 22, I I started out pretty bad, but I figured to myself I was good enough just to stick with it. And then at the end of 22, that's when I really kind of put myself on the map. And then beginning of this year, I did well, and then that's when I got caught up. But there was definitely times to where I was like, "This is really hard," but I always, like I said, I always thought to myself, I'm definitely capable of doing it." Because when you look at on when you're playing and you're looking at the opposing team, it's like I can compete with these guys. Like these guys have nothing on me, and I always thought to myself, I was confident in myself. So you just got to have that confidence, whether when you're going bad or going good.
Yeah. Now, when exactly did you get called up to the show, like from AAA?
It was August 3rd was when I got the call. So
August
I had
3rd.
my day 4th in Boston, but August 3rd was obviously the day before I got called up.
Now, it's funny you bring up Boston because that's where you had your first at bat was
Yeah.
a monster. It was a blast, dude. Like, what the hell was going through your head? Like, you're like, dude, like, and like, just try to hit the ball, don't mess up, or I'm like, nah. I see the green monster, I'm going for it. Like, what was going through your mind there?
Well, I mean, the whole day leading up to that was definitely more hectic than the actual game. My like, the whole
Yeah.
fun and giving interviews and everything like that. But like when I stepped into the box, I mean, everything kind of just like went back to just like I've been playing it for 20 plus years. And then once you step into the box, obviously the fans and the atmosphere totally different.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but once you see that pitcher on the mound, you're just going in compete mode and to be honest, it happened just so fast. I remember taking the first pitch, it was a changeup away, and I was like, okay, I saw that really well. Then he threw a fastball down and away, and I took a swing at it, and I was like, all right, I'm on time. And then the third pitch is where I hit it, and I hit it really good, but I never played there before, so I didn't think it was either high enough or far enough. And then obviously it went out, and the coolest thing about that moment was just seeing my teammates on the top step kind of cheering me on. The first guy I saw was like Kevin Gosman going nuts. I saw Chris Bassett put his hand up. All those guys I kind of looked up to growing up, they were just cheering me on. And then the first guy greeting me in the dugout was Witt, and we're kind of friends till this day, and we still talk. But it was just cool seeing all those guys just cheer me on, just because
What a moment.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
to
like
do it at such a historic
at
venue.
Fenway, bro.
It's not like you just did that in the MLB. Like you did it at Fenway and put it over the Green Monster. Like that's something you can't make up.
You dream of as a kid, dude. Like you see the Green Monster and you're like, dude, I just want to bang a home run over the monster and just see how freaking far it goes. Like you did that, dude. That you made that go to fruition. Like not a lot of people could do that. Like you're one of them. First at bat. I mean, that's impressive.
Family got a chance to watch me, so like that was the cool part. A lot of guys drove up and were in the stands, and most of the people I didn't even know were coming. I saw them pregame, but that was a cool part too, just seeing a lot of my friends and my friends of mine back home sending me videos of their reaction of it was pretty funny. And it was crazy. It felt like a year ago, but it was only 4 months ago. But it was definitely something I will definitely remember. If I even don't get another at bat in the show, it's definitely something I'll cherish.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about like once you got brought up because I think you played in around 35 games. Like just like overall, like how was your experience? Like just playing in those 35 games? Like how much did you learn? Like because I know also I'm going to read a stat here. Is the only like important stat because I want to follow up on it. Within at least 100 plate appearances, you ranked 5th in out of the zone swing rate. And also your walk rate was ranked 12th. But I know at one point you did go 0 for 31. I don't want to bring that up, but like I want to see like I know I'm such an ass for that. But like when it comes to like discipline at the plate, like I feel like that's something like I'm a Mets fan and Brandon Nimmo, like I watch him and I just see discipline, like taking the first pitch, taking pitches that are so close to the zone, either top corner, outside and away. Like, how does that kind of come about to you? Is that something that you emphasize a lot on, or is that more so that your hitting coaches, your head coaches? How does that come into play?
It's a little bit of both. Like growing up, I was definitely a pull hitter most of my life. And
Yep.
when I got to pro ball, you have to make adjustments when it comes to, your zones and everything like that. But realizing that, like I said earlier, I'm 5'9", I'm 195 pounds, so I'm not the biggest guy there is. And so you got to know what your power outage is. And nowadays, everyone loves homers and power and all that stuff. So like even this year, like I had my power went up, but also my average because I kind of focused in on, okay, what can I do damage with and what am I not be able to hit for power? And so obviously that's like either low and away. I can't do that. So most of the at bats, unless I have 2 strikes, I limit the outer half, unless like unless I react to it and hit it the other way. But most of the time, looking middle in, whether that's off speed or a fastball. And if I don't get that, I take it. And pitchers are going to make mistakes. That's what I realized a lot this year, is that you don't always have to swing at the first pitch or that one pitch that, that's a strike. Just wait for your pitch, because they're going to make a mistake, whether that's the first pitch or, the eighth pitch of the at bat. Just wait for it. And sometimes, they paint three balls on the outer half, but you just got to tip your cap at that point, just because, there's only so much you can do with that pitch. But I make sure I'm in that position to where if I see that pitch, I'm not going to miss it. And I feel like that's the biggest jump I made, is that I didn't miss those pitches as much as I did in the past. And I learned a lot of that in the big leagues, because I remember one time Bo came up to me and was like, dude, these guys, they make mistakes. It was before a roller shot. I was facing Chapman, and Bo was like, this guy's got nothing. Like, I mean, he throws 100, but it doesn't feel like 100. Like, he's going to throw it down the middle. And ironically enough, second pitch I see was a slider, 89 right down the middle. I hit it out. And so realizing that pitchers, they're really good, like the Max Scherzers and the Justin Verlanders, the Garrett Coles, they're great. But if they were perfect, they would have a 0 ERA. There's a reason why they give up runs, because they make mistakes. But a good hitter, you just got to make sure you don't miss it when that time comes.
Now, last one here. Now, with it always fascinated me with just batting in general, because they say not really to guess pitches in a way. Like, it's more so like how you say wait for your pitch. Like, some people, like, they hear like, oh, wait for your pitch. It's like, all right, wait for a good pitch to swing at. It's like, no, people take it literally. Like, I want to wait for a changeup, low inside, low and outside, where I drive it to the right field, or I'm waiting for a fastball high or just right near belt level. Like, how do you, maybe this is something you shouldn't answer, but like, how do you kind of go about your at bats? Like, are you waiting first pitch for a fastball? Are you actually trying to guess to see what they're trying to do to attack you? Are they going changeups? Are they going sliders? How do you kind of approach that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on what the pitcher, like usually every game we get the pitcher's like charts on whether he throws, 60% fastball or 40% slider, all that stuff. So you get that before the game, and even in the dugout during the game. So you kind of look at that and you kind of go off that. But most of the time, I'm usually sitting a zone. And so when I sit a zone, I'm obviously sitting fastball first. But if I see that fastball or if I see that slider in that same zone, I'm going to swing at it, just because I'm looking at that zone. And so I feel like zone hunting for me is more important than sitting pitches, because if you are sitting fastball, whether that's the whole zone, and he throws a slider right down the middle, then it's like, okay, then what are you doing? That's a good pitch to hit. And that's in my wheelhouse. So I usually sit zones more often than not. But there are times where if this guy's throwing 80% slider, then you're going to sit slider. Like I did that a couple of times this year, and it pays off. But obviously you're guessing, and you might not get that pitch, but it's a numbers game at that point. But most of the time I'm a zone hitter, like middle in, and whether that's a changeup, slider, or fastball, I'm going to try to hit it.
Answer. It's good to know.
It's interesting, because I feel like you see a lot of hitters where us as fans, we watch them go up there and they'll watch 3 balls go by them, and you're like what are we? But now that makes a lot of sense, because they're probably up there looking for a certain pitch, and if it never comes,
bro,
it's like it goes by like that.
People don't realize how fast it is too, dude. It's like, well, even when you're talking about like, oh, like I'm waiting fastball in this zone, but like a slider comes and it's like right in my wheelhouse, like that's like a not even 8 mile per hour difference at like 88, 92. Like, dude, that is so fast. People do not even realize it. Like, the fact that you could distinguish that like right away, like it's the hardest thing to do by far. Whoever says anything else is an idiot and is stupid. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do. And I'm a Mets fan. Hitting a DeGrom 102, 103 mile per hour fastball, like, when do you swing? When do you swing at that?
Yeah, you gotta make that decision before it even comes. Like,
exactly.
Facing Chapman.
Chapman, yeah.
Looking zone. So I was looking, okay, there's no way I can catch up to a 100-mile-an-hour fastball inside. So I thought to myself, okay, look, fastball up and away. And so I was looking in that zone, and then he threw a fastball up and away. First pitch, it was sailed, but I was still looking in that zone. And then he threw a slider, but it came up into that same exact zone where that fastball was and just dropped straight down. So I was looking in that general area, and then that slider just came in and just met my barrel. Like that at bat was a perfect example of me sitting a zone. I was looking up and away. The slider came on up and away, and then perfectly met my bat in the middle of the zone, and I hit it. Like you just have to pick your spots to whether it's going to be a zone count or like a if you're sitting a pitch count. So it's weird.
This
You know?
might be a dumb question, but like, do pitchers look at batters the same way batters look at pitchers?
I would imagine they do. Like, I actually couldn't tell you. I don't know. I literally don't know.
Yeah, because I
I
was
mean,
just wondering, because you're saying you look at that zone. Like,
yeah,
I'm wondering if they're looking at you saying, "Oh, he loves this zone. I'm not throwing there at all."
yeah, definitely for
Sure.
sure. I mean, the word got out where I can really hit the high pitch, and then people were started throwing the high pitch to me, and then knowing that pitchers were trying to do that to me, I was able to kind of cover that now because the way my barrel works, I get underneath the ball a little bit more. My swing's not as flat, so the high pitch definitely is a thing I struggle with. But knowing that going into an at bat, you kind of have a feel of what this pitcher's trying to do. And if he's early, if he's trying to go up, then you're like, okay, he has a plan to go up on me. So don't really look down, kind of look up. And like I said, you just got to pick your spots and what zones to look at per pitcher. And most of the time, you're going to fail, but that's just the way baseball is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something to be said that in baseball, if you're batting 300, it's pretty good right now.
Yeah, like
You're living lavish.
I went 0 for 31, and all my buddies were texting me. Was like, "Dude, you all right? Like you're okay." I'm hitting in the big leagues. I'm batting 290. Like, relax.
Dude, that was my next question too, because I think every MLB player, like the one, oh my God, I think his name is Chris Davis. He played for the Orioles. Dude, he went
Yeah.
on like an 0 for like
yeah.
100 something streak. It was like,
Yeah, something crazy.
like number one, like what do you do when you're in a slump? And number two, like how do you face that adversity? Because like it could be challenging to get out of it. Like how do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, when I went in my slump, like I didn't feel like I was struggling, as weird as it might seem, because I don't know, like still felt comfortable in the box, and like I still was putting good swings on pitches. The balls just weren't falling. But normally when I'm going in a slump, you just got to make sure you got to look at video when you were going good and make sure you're getting to that same spot when you're going bad. You just got to keep looking at video, what your swing was doing when you were, hitting balls out of the park. So, I mean, like I said, my swing felt good at the time when I was during my slump, and I didn't really feel like I was in a slump. Like all my buddies were more worried about me.
About it, yeah.
I was batting when I was going through it. I was batting like 360, and then I dropped to like 280, and then people were like, "Oh my God, he's struggling." I'm like, not real. Like I feel good. Like it's
great batting average, dude. You're batting
Yeah.
276 as a rookie. Like that is pretty damn good, dude. You could be batting 180. Like then you're like, okay, like there's some things I got to work on, but 276, pat on the back, dude. That's just me.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, all right, I'm not doing half bad, and I'm in the big leagues. Like there's worse things in the world to worry about than being in a slump in the big leagues. So like that's the way I look, and you can't let that pressure get to you, because if you start thinking about it over and over again, then that's when you kind of tumble down into a dark place mentally. And I never try to get to that point. I just try to make sure I'm getting better each day, working on stuff, and just making sure like I'm just prepared for that single day. And if I go 0 for 4, then it is what it is. At least I prepared myself to make sure I was in a good spot.
Yeah, as long as you guys are getting the win, it's all getting
Exactly. Yeah, I go for 4. As long as we get the win, it literally doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you're getting paid to go out there and try to win. And if we come along with a win, no one remembers when you go 0 for 4.
Yeah.
Now, recently there were some rumors, and you probably know where I'm going with this. How did you think that you guys were going to get him? Because there was a lot of people that were like, he's going there, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean,
did you kind of stay out of it? Like what'd you say? I'm sorry.
that all the reports were pointing towards us. Like every reporter saying, "Oh, he's in Toronto. Like he's on a plane. Like it's 80% Toronto, so it's like it's a done deal." So like I don't even have Twitter anymore. Like, but I just see Instagram and everything like that, and all the things out there, and it looked pretty promising for 99% of the time. But obviously, he wanted to go to LA. He liked LA, and it would have been cool playing with him, but it is what it is, and now we're gonna play them, but he's gonna be on the other side.
Personally, I think he's the best player I've ever seen, like that I've watched. I mean, not even just because he's a utility player, like pitcher hitter. It's just like the way he goes about his swing, his mechanics, and for some reason, what I've noticed with how the Japanese go about it is like their front leg when they're batting. I feel like they don't even pick it up. It's more so a twist. Like they keep their foot. Yeah, it's all hips, and they keep their knee and leg kind of inwards instead of stepping. And watching Shohei do that it's just like magic because he's so powerful at the same time. He makes it look so easy when it is obviously the hardest thing to do in sports.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta disagree. I don't think anyone will pass Barry Bonds as being the best player of all time.
And Bonds,
like,
yes.
Even if Ohtani pitches and still hits the way he does, I don't think Barry Bonds will ever be surpassed just because his numbers are just ridiculous. And obviously Shohei pitches and he's definitely the best when it comes to that. But Barry Bonds' career numbers are crazy. And Ohtani, like he's been in the show for about 4 years or 5 years. So he's got a long way to catch Barry Bonds' career numbers, But like obviously I know what you're talking about. Like he is once in a generational talent. Like no one's ever seen this, but I still think Barry Bonds is number one in my book.
I can actually agree with that, but I'm actually shocked that like you're 24, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm 25. Like I was really young when Bonds was there. You're like Barry Bonds. I'm like, oh shit! Like he remembers Bonds more than I do.
Every big leaguer that's either retired or like kind of still coaches in pro ball, like they still say Barry Bonds was the greatest. He was the coolest to watch. The way he everything that was thrown in the zone. So I mean, I still watch video of him and his swing, just try to make sure my swing is kind of like his. Just what he does is like it's remarkable. But obviously Shohei is still a unicorn, and he deserves all that money. And well, he's only making $2 million a year, but still,
yeah. Only 2 mil. This is like the first contract I've seen like deferred though. Like I can't think of another contract. I mean, probably besides Bobby Bonilla, of course, freaking Mets, but like Shohei, 680 mil deferred. Like,
usually when like a guy or they force a guy to retire, it's not usually during their career usually. But hear that he did that, I guess it opens more cap space. But you don't know what's gonna. I'd rather have that money up front, make as much money as I can early, than you don't know what's gonna happen in the world in the next 11 years. Why would you want doing that? But I guess 2 million is a lot of money still, but 70 million a year is definitely a lot more.
Oh yeah, everyone's saying he did that for a reason, because I think another buddy of his, Yamamoto, is going to be going there too.
They probably talked about it. I mean, the Dodgers are still going after him, so I mean, it makes sense. But Dodgers are just going to be a powerhouse over there, so so it's cool that they got him for sure. But he would have been. I think Toronto would have embraced him more. But that's my opinion.
I like that answer.
I like that.
I love that answer so much.
That's the answer to someone that knows that they're just going to beat them in the World Series.
Yeah.
Dodgers Toronto World Series would be pretty sick.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
And he's playing with Vladdy too. How is actually living in Toronto though? Like, do you like the city there?
I love it. I'm not a big city guy. Like Toronto's cool because it's clean, and like I'm from Philly, Philly's like the city right next to me, so like it's definitely a lot dirtier than Toronto. But Toronto it's very clean. They're great. Like going out there's a lot of stuff to do. And I was only there for 2 months, so I didn't really get the full experience there. But the time I was there, it was pretty sick, and there was a lot of stuff to do. The people are great around the city. Like I said, the number one thing, it's clean. That's the biggest thing. But it's a cool sports city. They love their sports there. They love the Maple Leafs, the Blue Jays, the Raptors, and they're very passionate. So I'm glad that I ended up debuting and being part of Toronto.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a friend that lived there. He played for Toronto FC for a few years, and he
Oh,
always had good things to say about it.
yeah,
Never heard a bad thing.
uh,
No, all right, last question here, and then we'll let you go. Anything you miss about the Philly area? Is there, or like maybe just back home? Like, what's the one thing you're like, like, man, I wish this was here. Like, I wish I had this right now. Or a couple things.
definitely my dog. I wish I could
Dog?
have him. Yeah, but he's back home with my parents during the season when I play. But um,
Philly
I
cheesesteaks?
love like I mean Jersey and Toronto. The taxes aren't the best, so I definitely don't miss the taxes when at home or even in Toronto. But I definitely just miss my buddies, like being around my buddies all the time. Like that's the number one thing I miss a lot about it, is because it's tough because everyone works now. We're all adults, so like it's tough to see a lot of guys when you can.
Yep.
But when I'm home during the off season, I see a lot of people I don't really see during the season. So it's cool to be around people I don't really see during the season because I don't really get a chance to see them at all. I'm just traveling and they're doing their own stuff. But when I'm home, it's just easy to go over there and just hang out with them.
Right.
Well, last question. I need to know, when did you start it? Why did you start it with the mustache? It's brilliant. It's amazing.
It is a fire mustache. I ain't gonna lie.
Thanks. So in 2022, that's when Top Gun came out, and obviously
That's great. That's great.
I was like, all right, I got to do it. Like, so I got it last year, and then I grew a beard back, so it didn't really last that long. But then I had it a couple times at the beginning of this year, like in April, I had it like for like a week, and then I grew back a beard, and then literally a week before I got called up, I grew out a mustache just because I don't know why. And then when I got called up, it just blew up. Like I didn't even think it was gonna blow up. I guess just because I wore Nike dad shoes, I had the glasses, I had the mustache, so like that whole look kind of, I don't know, people loved it for some reason, and so that it just blew up, and people said you have to keep it.
Yeah.
And so I just kept it, and I'm gonna keep it obviously, but there are times it sucks shaving every day for sure, like the sides, but it's I got to keep now. So I like it though. I like how I do it.
Yeah, that's something that's like, you just having that, you're already in the top like 5 of the fan favorites. But then like you end up playing really well, and now you are in the top like 2, 3 guys where they're like, all right, this is our guy. He's got the
Yeah,
mustache,
it's fun. The
he's
game.
a baller.
Most people that wear the mustaches are just like middle-aged women. Like they'll show them on the screen, and it's just like 40-year-old women wearing mustaches and glasses. I'm like, all right, come on, can we get but it's funny looking up on the screen every single game, and they were just show people just wearing mustaches. I'm like, and my teammate of mine, he came out to me one time. He's like, how freaking cool is this? Like when they were showing the people on the screen, I was like, it's pretty cool. But funny how people just roll with something and they just stick with it. And I'm grateful for it to happen, but it's weird sometimes seeing people wear it. But
Toronto Cougars. It's weird seeing the Toronto Cougars wearing the mustache.
It's funny though, but I'm glad people have a good time with it, because it is funny just seeing people wear it.
They got to have a mustache day this year.
I know that'll be cool. That was one of my sister's ideas. They should just give out like free little mustaches during the games. But I mean, that'll be cool if they do that for sure.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We'll get on that. We'll be in touch with management.
Listen, he's a Yanks fan. I'm a Mets fan, but Davis, you are first.
Odo, there you go.
What'd you say?
That was a big one.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Yanks just got
massive.
Now. Yeah.
We'll just be. It still sucks because Giancarlo is putting us in debt, but it's all right. I just hope he plays this year.
You think Stan,
comment on that?
You think Stan's going to be in the Hall of Fame? If he gets the 500 homers, he's for sure Hall of Fame.
He has to be that.
Just based off the Marlins and where he was with the Marlins, he was just a different ball player at that time.
Like he's still capable of,
for sure.
Like he is massive. He is the big one. Him and Judge, or when we were playing against him this year, I'm like, how are these guys human beings? But like, he's just a massive human being. I still think he just gets injured, so like obviously that's gonna make him struggle a little bit. But I still think he's capable of hitting 40 plus. Hopefully he doesn't do it against us, but he definitely capable of hitting plus against every other team. In my opinion.
No, if he stays healthy, he's easily one of the best batters. But
Yeah,
home run hitters, it's
Yeah.
just, can he stay healthy? So I'm hoping he can. And then obviously when you guys play them, I won't cheer for him the whole time. But yeah. You have anything else?
No, man. Listen, Davis, it was fun, dude. Like it kind of like one point, it just felt like you were just one of the bros. Maybe feel like you're a baseball player. We were just shooting the shit.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I don't even feel like I'm a, pro baseball player. So I feel like I'm just one of those guys, and I will always feel like that. I don't think I'll ever get to that feeling of like, I'm, in the show or anything like that. Just because I grew up like in a small town, and I always be here. I think I always stay in the small town when I'm back home. So I don't think I'll ever get to that point of where I feel like I'm like in this. I don't know why. It's just who I am and where my parents raised me. So it is what it is.
Well, it's good. Just keep your hell high, man. I mean, everyone's rooting for you, and now you got 2 new fans.
Yeah,
because
Thanks,
you're a good dude, and we think you have potential, bro. Like just seeing that home run again was just like, yo, like not a lot of people can do that, but we're gonna be rooting for you, man. And I'll be following you. He'll be following you. And every time we see the Blue Jays, we'll be like, yo, Davis better snap. that's all. That's like I'm a Chris Bassett fan. I like Vladdy. I like freaking Alejandro Kirk. You say that one like this, but like you're the reason I'm gonna be following the Blue Jays now.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Bassett's one of my favorites. Like he was a guy like he kind of pulled me aside and just kind of give me some words of wisdom. So Bassett's one of my favorites. So he's a good guy.
Good, man. Good. Yeah, he's a good pitcher for the Mets too. But I'm jealous you guys have him. I was sick we didn't re-sign him, but yeah. So hey, listen, Davis, again.
Yeah.
Bravo. Thanks for coming on, bro. Seriously, we will. We hope to have you on soon again. I mean, hopefully we'll be. During the season might be tough, but you know us now. We know you, so
yeah. Just shoot me a text whenever, and we'll figure it out.
Sounds good, man. Hey, Davis, again, thanks for coming on, man. It was awesome.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All righty.